What is the most inoffensive thing you've seen someone get offended by? One maybe 22 years ago, I had a phone interview with a baking company. I didn't care to have my peers know what I was up to, so I took the call on my cell phone in my car. The call was crystal clear and no technical issues. At one point, they had mentioned the weather and asked how it was where I was. I told him that I was sitting in my car and I could see that it was actively snowing and whatnot. The interviewer asked me, "Are you taking this call on a cell phone?" I told him I was. Then he asked me if I thought that was appropriate. I asked him what he meant by that. He said he thought it was kind of rude to take a formal call on a cell phone. I told him I would be more than happy to conclude the interview if talking on a cell phone was an issue. If he was interested, I'd be happy to continue it the next day when I'd be at a desk. He again repeated how rude he thought it was that I had called from a cell phone and that there was no need to continue the interview process. I disagreed with the first point, but did agree with the second. To this day, I wonder what in the world he was talking about and where he was coming from. 2. At my wedding, we marked the vegetarian items as vegetarian. This made the one vegetarian at my wedding sister-in-law, who hates me, fly into a catatonic rage because we are singling out the vegetarian food as vegetarian and not treating it as normal food. Then how the heck are they supposed to know it's vegetarian? Guess she wanted to be able to ask, so then everybody knows they're vegetarian LOSL 3. I once listened to my boss try to lecture the fire marshal because he was talking about something being flame retarded, and her reasoning was, you should just call it fireproof because retarded was an awful word. It was one of those times where I really should have tried to stop her, but instead I just stood off to the side making a surprise Pikachu face. This guy at a Halloween party I was at was dressed in a giant bacon costume. Some girl was yelling at him for being so offensive toward those who didn't eat bacon. For various reasons. Mind you, she ate pork. One of the guys who didn't eat bacon at the party asked her what the heck she was talking about, but she didn't back down, lol. I have no idea why people feel they need to go out of their way to be inaccurately offended on behalf of other people. 5. One time someone got offended when I put on my seatbelt. She thought I was commenting on her ability to drive. The same thing happened to me when inside a taxi he asked, "Do you wear your seatbelt when you're with your dad?" I said yes. 6. My 7-month-old was wearing a shirt that had a rocket ship in the NASA logo, and some middle-aged woman in the shop said he shouldn't be wearing that because he's clearly not an astronaut. I was dumbfounded. 7. At school, someone didn't have a calculator and asked if anyone had one they could borrow. Someone offered them a pink calculator and they refused, saying that they were offended. They try and give them something less masculine. Clearly they didn't need a calculator that badly if they're just going to whine about the color. 8. I'm a nurse at a children's hospital. I was wearing Mickey Mouse Halloween scrubs, which have little dancing skeletons on it. A visitor for one of my patients complained that I was wearing scary and inappropriate scrubs. 9 people get very offended that I don't like being touched. 10. This happened just last week. I work at a bank in an affluent part of Atlanta, and a woman called in to let us know she was offended by the security questions for her online banking. The security questions she set up herself. 11. Wearing a mask in public.